For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
It's been a long wait. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show in the world. Even monitored by people who hate the broadcast. We go up until about 10 minutes after 2 o'clock with your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. My name is Timothy Poleon. Amanda is here, all in red. She'll be going through some of your comments in the chat room, and we all set for definitely a fantastic Friday edition of NewsSpin. We had a march which took place earlier this week, organized by the Ionola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. What was this march all about? High cost of living in St. Lucia? No. Serious crime problem on the island? No. The fact that there's so much division in St. Lucia, particularly that is what is being inspired by certain people along racial lines? No. It is all about bringing to the attention the St. Lucian public what is happening in Burkina Faso involving the president there. And the claim that apparently because of his style of leadership, attempts are being made either to assassinate him or to remove him from office by force. We're more preoccupied with what is happening in that part of the world than what is happening in St. Lucia. It's a greater priority. I say to you that this is a ruse. This is some form of distraction. Remove your focus from what is happening in St. Lucia and let's place it on the motherland. The same way, efforts are being made to remove your attention and your focus from what is happening on the island and place it on FETS. This is a ploy. Whether it is effective or not, I don't know. But that is the reality. And we have to guard against such methods that are being employed at this time to cause us to be distracted and to focus on things that are insignificant and have very little bearing or impact on our lives. And so to put this whole thing into context, we have this report which was filed by Manasseh Stanislas of DBS Television of that protest activity which took place earlier this week.
Persons of Pan-African descent came together with ICA to stand in solidarity with Ibrahim Traore as he is defending exploitation of Africa's natural resources by first world countries. The issue of exploitation has been of concern to African leaders due to what they have deemed the resurfacing of colonialism. President of ICA, Aron Alexander, makes a plea for black leaders to stand with the president of Burkina Faso amidst global pressure.
This is about the whole African continent, a continent where extraction of resources have continued for over 100 years, for centuries, where the European countries have looked at Africa as their natural resource and keep exploiting the resources of Africa right through. So right now with the rise of Burkina Faso and Captain Ibrahim Traore, where he has put a stop to these kind of things, we applaud him. And we are standing in solidarity with him, Traore, and also with the entire African continent and the African countries who are putting a stop to this thing.
Alexander urges colonial powers to fairly compensate countries for their resources rather than exploiting them. He says it is shameful that in the second decade for persons of African descent, colonial powers haven't paid out reparations but are stripping Africa of its resources.
Africa is not the cash cow. It's high time that Europe leave Africa resources alone. It's high time that Europe stop extracting the resources of Africa. Africa's resources is for the development of the African people. Now we ourselves in the diaspora, St. Lucia and the entire Caribbean, we are part of the African continent. We are the 6th region of Africa. So we ourselves have to take a stand and show where we stand on those issues. And as we all know, right now there are many assassination attempts on Ibrahim Traore.
Christopher Hunt, a concerned citizen, believes while there may be benefits from first world countries, black leaders must guard the interest of their citizens, particularly in the Caribbean.
Why do we accept that if a country has the resources, that somehow there are other powers that feel entitled to it? Even the word colony is derivative of its etymology.
All right. That was your report there by Manasseh Stanislas on this protest march which took place earlier on this week, seeking to protect Ibrahim Traore, this president from Burkina Faso. There's some people just don't want to hear from because you just know what to expect, the rhetoric and so on. But as far as the family or families of those 3 men who were gunned down on Wednesday evening. And remember that a 4th individual is nursing gunshot injuries. You think those people ought to care about Ibrahim Traore and what is happening in Burkina Faso? In all honesty, that is what is relevant at this point in time in St. Lucia. And this march took place prior to the incident at Chopin over in Bardini. Okay, so let's be fair. But before that, you remember the incident where one brother was shot and killed. The other brother was preparing for his brother's funeral, and he too was gunned down. There's been so many fatal shootings in St. Lucia over the last few weeks, months, and years. It has not prompted ICA to have any kind of protest action. Those people are our brothers, if you want to put it this way, they are our black brothers. And it's black brothers who are killing other black brothers. Aron Alexander and Ika and the rest. And it's saying that should be the priority. And don't you read? You watching this broadcast, you listening. Whether you're a Flobo hack or SLP hack, you don't read anything into that. That is just too blatant for us to be tolerating what passes for being interested in the fate of an African leader and the motherland and exploitation by the developed world, the Europeans and the Americans, etc. We have to be concerned with those things. But my God, the police force as well. Just recently, senior officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force hosted a press conference. There's a respite, just a little lull in homicides. And that prompted a press conference. Speak about a reduction in crime during the first quarter of this year. And at that time, St. Lucia had already recorded 18 homicides. And those of you who have been monitoring the news in St. Lucia for a while, you understand that every time any politician comes forward, any police officer, police commissioner, etc. comes forward to boast about a reduction of crime, what happens a few days later? We all know that. I don't know why we are jinxing ourselves. I need not be a gade to tell you that as soon as the police would have made that comment and boasting about a reduction in crime during the first quarter of this year, that the floodgates would have opened. Subsequent to that, a few days later, now we have an additional 4 homicides to bring it to 22. And again, let's go back to Ika, because I suspect next week, those brothers from the Anola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari will have a march. And this time it will be to protest the killings that are occurring right here in St. Lucia. I suspect they will have a march. But let me take you to this report which was filed by DBS's Miriam Montut. Police were boasting about a drop in criminal activity in St. Lucia for the first quarter of this year.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force says that statistics for the first quarter of the year from January to April indicate a decrease in crime. Officer in charge of the Central Division, Luke De Freitas, says that the island has recorded 18 homicides for the year. Out of that 18, he says that the RSLPF has solved 6 and is well on the way to solving the rest. Additionally, he says that there have been 221 operations, 160 vehicles impounded, and 5,246 traffic tickets given.
At this point, we have seen a drastic reduction in our overall crime numbers, and it's a trend that has continued from January to now. We are hoping again that with our sustained operations, both targeted, our road checks, that we continue to bring these figures down.
Officer with responsibility for the Southern Division, ACP Albert Shalry, says that the Southern Division's most prevalent offense has been threatening words. He urges the public to find better ways of settling disputes. Additionally, he says that they have seen an increase in road incidents and urges the motoring public, particularly minibus operators, to be more cautious.
I want to report that we have had 4 homicides in the south of the country. 1 in Soufrière, 2 in Choiseul, and 1 in Micoud. The incident in Soufrière, as well as those in Choiseul, we've had persons arrested and charged, and they are currently on remand awaiting trial. In the Micoud incident, we continued investigations. 2 persons were arrested and charged, but have been released Samples have been taken from them and we continue the investigations.
For the Northern Division, Officer in Charge ACP Elvis Thomas says that for the first quarter, there have been 27 traffic checks with 105 tickets issued. Furthermore, he says that there have been 19 impounded vehicles, 11 operations, and 5 firearms recovered.
As Mr. De Freitas mentioned, we have some of our homicides that have been solved, and some of them are still under investigations. Of note, we have the matter involving Jolie Williams. We can now report that the suspect is currently on remand at the Borderley Correctional Facility, and the funeral service for the deceased will be held today. Another matter we have is Sophia Munez of Cape State. We can report that the suspect was formally arrested, charged, and cautioned, and is currently on remand at the Borderley Correctional Facility.
Acting Commissioner of Police Ferngard says illegal firearm seizures have increased by 100%, with new personnel being added to the police force and the establishment of new ranking officers. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoot reporting.
A reporter just filed recently an ad on the DBS News World. Somebody says via the chat room on Facebook, Tim, shame on you, man. What's happening out there also affects what goes on here, and it shows of lack of black unity. Another person says in the chat room, just trying to access this comment. Just bear with me while we try to access it. Show me Ibrahim protesting for what's happening on our island in St. Lucia, standing up with our brothers. And I would just wonder whether certain politicians are calling the hierarchy of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and directing them and saying, you guys should convene a press conference to speak about a reduction in crime during the first quarter of this year. You know, people play with statistics. And sometimes we don't put a name, we don't put a face to the people who perish in such circumstances in St. Lucia. But just speak to the relatives of those young men who are killed ever so often on the island. One family in recent days losing 2 brothers, and you're telling me that you want to march on behalf of the leader of an African nation when St. Lucia, dominantly consisting of people of African descent, we are killing one another, and this is not a priority for you? This would have cost a few dollars to host that protest action by ICA. Don't you think that the money should have been spent focusing on our brothers and sisters in St. Lucia? You have never seen the necessity over the last few years. I think the last time you had some protest on this issue would have been Black Lives Matter, just before the 2021 general election. After that, not a word from you about, in terms of you demonstrating, whether it's Constitution Park, whether it is on the Derek Walcott Square or any part of St. Lucia, showing your displeasure at the number of young black men who are killing their black brothers in St. Lucia. In some cases, they have also been killing their black sisters. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We have our first call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, ma'am. How about you?
I'm fine. What about Amanda? How are you, Amanda?
Good afternoon, Cole. I'm fine, thank you.
Tim, I want to agree with you so much on both the press release by the police, because when I saw that, I said, but isn't it too early to be putting out that statement, that press release about the first quarter, the death thing, you know, the murder rates and all that, you know? I think they jumped the gun, because soon after that, what happened? You know?
And hold that point, ma'am. Somebody in the chat room is saying, Tim, the triple murder at Bardini, 2 brothers were also killed. Tell the relatives of those people about Ibrahim and his fate in his homeland. Tell him about that. It's very important that you tell him about that. That's the priority that we should be placing on right now. The focus on.
Tim.
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're still there.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised about Aron Alexander?
No, I don't.
You shouldn't be surprised.
Caller, I don't want to make it an Aron Alexander issue. For me, it's an ICA issue. It's not an Aron Alexander issue for me. Not for me.
He's the chairman of ICA. Hear what I'm saying. What you said about all the murders and all that's happening in St. Lucia. I am not against the march. I will never be against it because, like we say, Africa is our motherland. But our priorities. Why didn't Aron? All the time, for how many years, murders, all kinds of things happening. The cost of everything is a mess in St. Lucia. Not for once would Aron call a march and call on the youth, call on the government, call on to what is happening in St. Lucia is not right. You understand? But the same thing with the Black Lives Matter and that march on when it was Wednesday. I want to make it plain. I am not against the march, but Aron has to get his priorities right. But I'm not surprised because, like, if you see, it was the opposition that was in government, you would see Aron marching and calling on everybody to march. But that is his government, so he'll never find anything wrong to march. He can see the killing in his eyes. He'll close his eyes because all these people, they put party before country. You understand? And I'm not surprised at Aron pushing back what's happening here to what's happening in Africa. I am not surprised. This is Aron because Labour Party is in power and that's Aron's party. You will never find Aron demonstrating for what's happening in St. Lucia. You will never find that. If you see, like I said again, if Shasney was there, you would see Aron up in arms. You remember the Black Lives Matter? They made it so political. So all that racist thing they were spreading. You see what happened in Trinidad with all the racists, all the propaganda, all the violence, all the murders? Well, we better take note, Take note and get a wake-up call. But Tim, I support you 100% on what you said about that march. I am not against the march, but our priorities, some of us, our priorities are not right. Our country, what is happening here? You understand? Like you said, you can go and tell the fellas, all the youths that dying there, to tell their mother about, what's the man name? Ibrahim.
Ibrahim.
In Burkina Faso. You think you can tell the people that? You think Ibrahim know what's going on in St. Lucia? That's if the man know where St. Lucia is. We can support, but when we support him, we have to get our priorities right. I want to see Aron right now organize a march for all the murders and all the things, all the young girls that are getting raped and killed in St. Lucia. I am waiting to see it.
He'll have one next week.
Thank you, team.
Thank you so much for calling.
He'll have one next week.
Yes,
if Labour come out, if Labour lose the election, he'll have a dozen of them.
Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. 716-2026. Another call in line. Good afternoon. You're on the air. I think we have lost that call. 452-2979 as well. And in just a moment, I'll be turning my attention to Amanda. We'll be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Somebody says via WhatsApp, Tim, you are correct with your preamble. All these issues we have in this island, but ICA can protest for something outside of St. Lucia. We are truly lost in this island, St. Lucia, on a straight flight to Haiti. All right, let's see if we have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. You're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, I want to concur with you in your preamble as to the action taken by ICA and the inclusion of Christopher Hunt in that news clip. I wrote somewhere what my real sentiments are on that whole issue. But what I want to really talk about today, Tim, is about simple maths and the CIP program. And the reason why, only 2 days ago, I was visiting Massey stores on New Dock Lane, and I overheard a conversation between two ladies. They seem to be friends, but on different sides of the political divide. And one lady, from what I gathered, who is the SLP supporter, she is really confused as to that whole CIP, Galaxy, and the agreements are concerned. I listened to the conversation, but I did not intervene. So I will give me some space on your program today to do some simple maths. Please. Many people don't realize that the two agreements with Galaxy, the agreement that the United Workers' Party had with Galaxy, and the one that the SLP has, are two totally different agreements. When the SLP came into office after the 2021 elections, they discontinued the agreement that Alan Shapley-led administration had. Okay? They came in for a new agreement. And if people follow this news closely, they will remember that Prime Minister Philip J. told us that the cost of the hotel being built by Caribbean Galaxy in Canals using the CIP funds have gone up to $400 million US. That is $50 million more than what was agreed under the Alan Shapley administration. And even more so, he never gave us an explanation, Tim, as to why that was so. Okay? Now, the minister with responsibility for that CIP, Ernest Hille, he announced that the legal price of a passport under the infrastructure option was reduced from $300,000 US to $200,000. Here comes the simple maths. Under this terms, Tim, if Galaxy needed to have sold 2,000 passports to build that hotel, 2,000 by 200,000, that would be $400,000 US. And Tim, journalists like Lisa Joseph and other people, concerned citizens, have asked repeatedly from Ernest Hille to inform the nation as to how many files or passports that were allocated to Caribbean Galaxy to build a hotel. If you will recall, in one of his responses, he said that he could not disclose that information. It was confidential, but he would ask Caribbean Galaxy if he could release that information. Have we heard anything? No. But recently, not too long ago, Dr. Hille, at a meeting or conference overseas, I think it was in Dubai, we heard that 5,000 files, not passports, 5,000 files have been processed. Now let's consider this then. Simple maths again. A file potentially could consist of 4 passports. Okay? That means a mother, a father, and 2 children. But let us stick at the minimum. Let us not even go there, because 5,000 files at 2,000, at 20,000, 5,000 files is potentially 20,000 passports. That would be $4 billion. But we're not even taking that into consideration. Let's take the minister at his word. Okay? He said that 2,000 passports, again, using his simple maths, it means that Caribbean Galaxy would have raised $1 billion for that Canals project. So the questions all solutions want answered is, where is the excess funds of $600 million? Now we are hearing that the government has discontinued the deal with Caribbean Galaxy, and yet still the project at Canals is incomplete. So is Caribbean Galaxy actually walking away with an excess of $600 billion of our money? And that's US dollars? Really? $600 million? But we have to question and ask him, will all this money resurface during the election campaign? It is going to be, as what happened in the last election, direct payments out to voters to bribe them. We still have no hotel built in Canada after 4 years. Yet we are hearing that 5,000 passports have been sold. So who are the real beneficiaries of these passports? Who? We have lawyers who were charging up to US $10,000. Okay? Up to $10,000 for every passport. So do the maths again. We are creating some really serious millionaires in this country by selling our passports. And we are not getting anything in return. And you want us to applaud or clap the government for that? The latest thing they came up with is that Caribbean Galaxy is giving $400,000 towards the construction of a fifth wing at OKEU. Seriously? $400,000? That is our money, Tim. That is our money. That is a massive abuse of the CIP program, and it stinks. There's a corruption stench that is following Ernest Hill and this government. That money could have been used not to cap a gallon of fuel at $16, but go back to the 1395, which was under the UWP government. We need answers still. But there is a simple maths. Our money has not been accounted for, and we must hold the feet of Philip Japierre and Ernest Hill to the fire and make them account for our money. This is our passport. This is not theirs. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you so much for calling. Good afternoon to you, Amanda. Let's find out what is happening with the chat room.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, NewsSpinners. Tim and NewsSpinner says Ibrahim does not even know if you're alive. Tell PJP to stop exploiting us with taxes. Another comment reads, what foolishness is that? We are part of the African continent. Where are we going in this country? And NewsSpinner says let's fix our problems first before we get caught up in other countries' businesses. Another comment reads, I want to see the illegal gun and ammunition register, make it a public document, and tell us how you propose destroying them. Someone says, Tim, the black-on-black crimes in the motherland is fueled by the colonial dollars. A comment here reads, what about the black lives that are being lost on almost a daily basis? What's your say on this? A NewsSpinner says they're boasting about traffic tickets while talking about murders is offensive to people's intellect. Another comment reads, unpopular opinion, here are two things may be true at the same time. We can collectively support Africans fighting injustice and at the same time doing what we must here in St. Lucia to combat our issues. There is no need to negate the truth. Someone says there are some people take politics so serious and the Prime Minister will tell his supporters, go in their face and tell them you lose is more chaos he's looking for. Comment reads, to me the last time the Prime Minister came out and said 25 days without a homicide, the same thing happened. Boom, next day another one. Let us not rejoice too quickly. One murder is too many. Another comment reads, everything is working out nicely in our banana republic. Since we have an imminent election, all institutions are working efficiently, Tim. Perfect and well-oiled. Another comment reads, it's not ICA's responsibility to march against crime in St. Lucia, it's the opposition's job. Back to you, Tim.
But also somebody said in the chat room that are you saying that it's only supporters of the government or the opposition that are being targeted as far as those killings are concerned? We have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tim.
Yes, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
And Tim, the lady that as they talk about the match, I support her 100%. You can have a match for Africa, and crime happening in your country where you have your family, your children, your wife, your generation, and you're saying a word. So bravo to the lady. Now, Tim, I was listening to you and Mr. Rick on a program talking about Sir John, the goodness he have done for the country.
Newsmaker Live.
And we all respect that, 100%. You know, and I will send a message for Sir John. Sir John, the goodness you have done for our country, I hope you continue having a good life in heaven. Okay, that's my comment on him. Now,
but hold on there, because we have a clip of Sir John making a particular point, and that's the first time I've been watching that interview between Sir John and Jacinta Annius-Lee for several years now, because this interview was conducted in the year 2004. That's 21 years ago. And I never paid attention to that particular statement that he made. Listen.
Didn't know I was not a St. Lucian until I entered politics. I didn't know I was not a St. Lucian until I entered politics.
So you heard him there. I didn't know I wasn't a St. Lucian until I entered politics. So as soon as he entered politics, those on the other side were accusing him of being a foreigner. So you're a foreigner. Why involved in our politics? Continue.
That message from Sir John, it really suits the St. Lucian Labour Party because it's that same thing they have in Mr. Alan Michael Shasney on. You know what I'm saying there? Okay, so that suits them. I hope they listen to that clip from Sir John. But what I'm saying, Sir John passed already, and life have to goes on. Life have to continue. Now, is Sir John and Mr. Kenny Anthony, Dr. Kenny Anthony, that hold the St. Lucia seat the most? Now, Mr. Kenny Anthony can't give Sir John competition. The best, Kenny Anthony best days was time of Lagan, and the battery just died. Now, the other Sir John we have is Alan Michael Shasney. He have a vision. So I was listening to your program, Mr. Rick and you, and I find, I'm not saying you are not supposed to say it, but I find his name is supposed to come up. Run a talk about him, because of the man had everything organized, you know. The South is through coronavirus that really messes up. He had the K9. So you find Alan Michael Shasney was continuing Sir John's legacy. But some of us, we do not see that. We fall for the bluff and the lies. You understand what I'm telling you? Now, Dr. Kenny Anthony, he served times there too, but he don't do nothing in the South. And I find Dr. Kenny Anthony at his age, and he seen that great idea Alan Shasney had for the South. He is supposed to embrace it. You get my point? But they will not do that because he seen Dr. Kenny Anthony was not a minister in the South. He was a prime minister. Now he's seen for Alan Michael Shasney to come with that idea. He will not go forward for it, but he was wrong. It's not about him. It's about the country and us. That is why some politicians fall in behind. You know, just like the hospital. You know, they don't continue it. You know, it's not Shasney Hospital. It's St. Lucia Hospital. Now, I have a message for some people that was saying, Gaidi, si l'hôpital a pas fini, pas votre bali. That was a mistake. And he said that because of what people have to understand. You have to balance it too. If it was not the coronavirus, it would have finished. You get my point? So we have to kind of like analyze it till we finalize what he meant from that, because the man had the contract, all money was there for that, you know. If Labour just continue it, it would have finished. But the coronavirus, we fall short on that. You know what I'm telling you? And when I look at it, the next Sir John, as I say, I never work for Alan Shasney. I don't have no position in Alan Shasney office, but it's not about me, it's about the country. You get my point? And the Prime Minister, people that we feel that could run the country to benefit us, we have to vote for them. If I have a family member going up for a party, it could be my brother, my sister, and I know they're not going to benefit the country or my community, I'm not supporting them, my brother. It's not about me, it's about us. And we people must come together and say, politics is not about Labour or Flambeau, it's about us and the government. Imagine, the last one, I don't want to stay too long. Imagine, Mr. Tim, when Alan Michael Shasney come in office, this man take out VAT from 15% to bring it 12.5%. And if he was there in time of Philip JP right now, it would have been 10%. And we don't, and I see him, a man that don't, listen, I went to school with all my books. I had 5 days of school, I had 6 shifts. I was my mother's only child. I did not take my school work serious, but I know a lele. I have understanding, you know what I mean? I know how life is. And people, I'm calling on us. That crime thing, my brother, black killing black, I don't know where we get that from. When we're supposed to unite, we're supposed to come together. And I see Mr. Aron, I have a message for you, my brother. You black, I black. I'm not against you having your match, but the first match you are supposed to have, my brother, don't study party you following. You're supposed to have a match for we St. Lucian, because you have a voice. I'm not saying you could stop crime, but you have a voice. You have a voice so much. You have a voice for Africa. And why not us? Let's up there, Mr. Tim.
Hold on there. You seem to be very privileged as a child. You went to school 5 days. You had 6 shirts to go to school.
Yeah, I had 6. Yeah, what I'm telling you.
Many of us barely
extra one.
Call up. Many of us barely had 3. You know, you had 6.
Mr. Tim, I was my mother and my mother, and I went. Mr. Tim, I had all my books. You know.
Right.
Let me tell you what that put me off. I'm not afraid to say that as a solution. Let me tell you what put me off on my schooling, Mr. Tim. You know, in those days, we from the country. You know, we grew up. We see nuts. We quick to go and pick nuts. You know, we setting traps to catch doves. While I'm in class, I saying, boy, I hope my trap have a dove, you know, or have a bird. You know, and those things, you know, I mean, keep us back. And another thing again, you see, when you have family members, if the house have people that will push you, help you for your homework, you learn. I'm not stupid, you know, Mr. Tim. There is people I say are not too bright in their education, and they will say I lie. You see what I'm telling you? But I could explain myself. But I went to school with 6 shirts, not 6. So I had an extra shirt. I had 5 days of school, 6 shirts. My mother always say, in case one button come out, and man, I had my little carrier, my free drawers of carrier, and I take it hard. And I thank God. God give everybody a different way. And I'm a welder, Mr. Tim, and I'm one of the best welder in the island. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm one of the best welder in St. Lucia. And thank you, Jesus, for blessing me with that trade. So those have the education. Sometimes I just comment on Facebook and people quick to tell me, what's your English? And I say again, black people, if I spell something on Facebook and it's not right, what you have to do as a black person, correct me, don't ridicule me, don't criticize me. But what they're doing, they try and keep me off NewsSpin. But that can't stop me, but bless up there, my brother.
You too, sir. Thank you so much. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. Still to come. Somebody says, why should the police boast about a reduction of crime in the first quarter of 2025? We have a whole lot more between now and 10 minutes after 2.
KFC's bringing the flavor and the vibes with the Jazz Box. Just $30. Get 1 zinger or big crunch sandwich, 5 undipped wings, fries, a biscuit, 16-ounce drink, and a shot at VIP Jazz Weekend for 2. Buy a Jazz Box at any of our 5 KFC locations. Write your name and number on the receipt and drop it in the entry box to enter. Draw takes place May 7th. VIP tickets for May 9th, 10th, and 11th could be yours. Available now till May 31st. Only at KFC St. Lucia. Dine in, drive through, or order online at kfcslu.com. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbute at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in San Souci and VA4 are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in VA4 is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. Sure Pays online and walk-in service options or participating financial institutions. Payments made via Sure Pay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the Automated Account Inquiry Service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
I've seen you here before, and I have something special just for you. What have we here? Happy housewarming to me? That's the MNC Home Depot Rewards Card. You'll earn points every time you shop, plus exclusive savings and promotions just for you. Just for me? Yes. just for you. Shop in store or online and enjoy a seamless experience.
So I get to treat myself every time I shop?
Exactly. It's time to reward yourself.
MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Rewards Card. Sign up and reward yourself today at www.mnchomedepot.com.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay.
You're on your way.
Flow is keeping you connected.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heel pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. Call La Clinique du Corps right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
It seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Bouteille. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
On Sunday, May 4th, it's a party under the pitons. Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience. MTX Band, Sly, Arthur Alep, Rebo 7, DYP, Former Nappy, Cohen Dubois,
Anywhere that we go,
T-Vice, and headliner Busy Signal. Party with us, dine with us, stay with us for Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience. Tickets are only $150 EC. You can choose to elevate your experience at our VIP Village for only $400 EC. The best value for money, the best vibes, and the most exquisite location. Tickets available from the Cell Outlets, Island Wine, SRDF office in Soufre, and www.fourcirclestickets.com. Sunday, May 4th, Soufre Mini Stadium. Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience.
They came out and they boasted. We have crime under control. There is a reduction. And by the time they said the last word, there were 4 additional murders in this country. Des jours qui passent là, moun pa mort. You celebrating already as if you have achieved something. One murder is too much in this country, whether it is UWP or Labour in office. So don't come and celebrate beforehand. They came out and they boasted, we have crime under control. There is a reduction. And by the time they said the last word, there were 4 additional murders in this country. Des jours qui passent là, moun pa mort. You celebrating already as if you have achieved something. One murder is too much in this country, whether it is UWP or Labour in office. So don't come and celebrate beforehand.
You just heard there from the Deputy Political Leader of the Opposition United Workers' Party, and that is Mr. Guy Joseph, speaking during an activity yesterday, and that is to mark the opening of the constituency office of the United Workers' Party candidate for Grozile, Marcella Johnson. 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And Mr. Aron Alexander just sent me a voice note. He's trying to get the line, so I'm calling him right now. He, of course, is the head of the Ionola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. I think he's on the line, Mr. Producer. Let's see if he's on the air. Good afternoon.
Yes, greetings, Tim.
Same to you, my brother. How are you?
I'm all right, and how about you? Good?
I am okay, sir. All right, so you would have heard my preamble, the reaction from members of the public. What say you to this? To me, the priority should have been about what is happening in St. Lucia at this time, sir.
Okay, well, Tim, the Ionola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari and Pan-African People, we felt it necessary to highlight what is happening on the African continent, in particular what is happening in Burkina Faso, where this young president has taken over and he has deposed puppet government installed by France, where a lot of the African resources in Burkina Faso, especially gold, was being looted and taken to France very cheap, and the rewards and it was not being used to benefit the people in Burkina Faso. And since he has come in, there's been about 20 or 21 attempts to assassinate him. And we know whenever the West does not like an African leader, there is something that African leader is doing good for the people. That's why they try to take them out the same way they took out Muammar Gaddafi. So this was a protest action or march, or what we call a solidarity gathering. And this happened over the entire world on the 30th of April, Tim. Many cities in Africa, the US, the UK, France, all over the world, people were standing in solidarity, telling the European countries, the colonialists and the neo-colonialists, enough is enough with exploitation of Africa for over 100 years. Now we know the transatlantic slave trade and the slave trade itself was one of the greatest forms of violence ever committed against a people in world history. So when you talk about violence, yes, we have violence here, we have murder here and so on, but this happened on a massive scale. When you talk about violence, King Leopold II killed millions of people, even more than Adolf Hitler.
Okay,
so
but when you
wait for me, Tim, wait for me, please. To highlight what is happening on the African continent, it was very important. That is not to say that in St. Lucia, our situation here with crime and so on and murder is not important. But you will remember, Tim, I was on your program denouncing and condemning. You invited me on Newsmaker Live, where after the shooting that took place at the Derrick Walcott Square, the guys on the motorbike. I came on your program, you invited me, we condemned this action. ICA condemned this action. We put out press statements about this thing. So I'm not saying that the match is not important, but it's not like ICA have not highlighted and taken action on what is happening on the violence in St. Lucia. Even last year, May, we had an event at Serenity Park, which was dubbed Music to Fight Crime Part 1. And we invited the leader of the opposition at the time. He sent, the current opposition leader, he sent Mr. Thorold Prudent to represent him. And Thorold Prudent was there and gave a speech, in support of what ICA was doing. So it's not like ICA has not taken action. And as a matter of fact, Tim, let me put you on notice and warning. This year, May, we're going to have Part 2 of Music to Fight Crime taking place in St. Lucia, highlighting what is happening in St. Lucia. I heard you mention, we might have a match next week. It's not next week, Tim. It's actually on the 24th of May. We're going to have a big event again, and we're going to invite the leader of the opposition and all your listeners who are saying all kinds of things. We want to see them there too, Tim. We want to see the listeners of NewsSpin.
You're saying that you're saying that you're going to invite the leader of the opposition. Are you going to invite the Prime Minister as well?
Well, not the Prime Minister, the minister responsible for crime reduction, Honorable Jeremiah Norbert, which we have sent a letter to him already.
So therefore, hold on. I find it strange, Mr. Alexander. I find it strange that you're going to say that you will invite the leader of the opposition, but yet still you're not saying that you will invite as well the minister with responsibility for crime prevention. Why the omission? Why didn't you say that?
But I just told you that.
But I had to ask you.
I just told
you. But I had to pose the question to you.
Tim, let's do this. I would have said that as well, Tim.
You would have. I could have, but you didn't.
But I just did a while ago.
But
I gave you a straight answer. I told you we've invited him already. And we have the letter penned ready for the leader of the opposition. I don't know who is going to send to represent him this time around. But ICA continues ceaselessly with its efforts to highlight the current state of crime, especially the black-on-black violence. We have heard this, Tim, and we want things to come to a stop. We want to hold this thing. So as much as I accept the criticism that we should have had a match concerning the crime in St. Lucia, but it's not like ICA has not been at the forefront, even highlighting these things and condemning these things when it happened. As I mentioned earlier, you invited me on your program, my brother. I was there with you after the shooting at Derrick Walker Square.
That is true.
Remember that?
But I remember that. But what I also hold on. You said I invited you. You should not have taken an invitation for you to appear on the program. But let me put it to you this way. In terms of perception, the perception is that somehow you do not want to in any way at all embarrass the government by having a march dedicated towards addressing the crime problem in this country with the black-on-black violence. When you have a situation where two brothers are killed within the space of a few days, shouldn't that prompt you into having a protest march on this, to call on the brothers in St. Lucia to ensure that they do not engage in acts of violence whereby they're basically decimating each other in this country?
Tim, you are absolutely correct. But then and again, I have to say to you, Tim, in the absence of having a protest match, ICA puts out statements in condemnation of what is happening. But I'm saying to you again, even last year we had this event at Serenity Park. We didn't care about embarrassing any government, Tim. That's not our motive. We have to ensure that we speak out, because how many civil society groups you have speaking out, Tim, except ICA? How many church groups you have speaking out except ICA, Tim? Let's be fair now, right? And you must realize that a lot of our civil society group statement from the inception when I came in as president, I said ICA will not be silent. We're going to speak about issues affecting the country, affecting us as a people. But that doesn't mean we cannot walk and chew gum at the same time, Tim. We can still talk about what's happening on the continent, because remember, there's Africa CARICOM Day coming up on September the 7th. So Africa and CARICOM is getting closer together. Look, they got a loan from Afri-Exim Bank, which is building the Entrepot School right now. So St. Lucia has a great part in forging closer ties with Africa and CARICOM by extension.
But it just appears that your focus is on Africa as opposed to what's happening in St. Lucia. That is how I see it.
If that's the perception, that I would like to say it's a perception, but we're going to work towards changing that perception, because we believe that we should also focus, and we are focused on what is happening here. That is why we go on programs, we put out press releases, we talk about what is happening in St. Lucia as well. But at the same time, we cannot neglect to talk about what is happening on the mainland Africa team. So I will not say I apologize to your listeners for that kind of perception, but it's just a perception, team. But people must, and as I indicated earlier, the event that is coming up on the 24th of May this month, we want to see more people come out. More people let us focus on what is going on. We don't want it to be politics. That's why we're inviting both sides to be present. The Minister of Crime Prevention and Crime Reduction can come to speak to what the government is doing as far as fighting crime on the island, and the opposition side could offer ideas, Tim. Don't feel as if we cannot offer suggestions. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't take it. Likewise from us as ICA, we're going to offer suggestions. One of the things we've offered before is highway patrol, and now we see with all the motorbikes that the government has given to the police, we see them patrolling from roundabout to roundabout now. That's fantastic. They're doing traffic checks. That is great. So we're seeing more police intervention happening on our highways and byways. Many persons that have illegal vehicles on the road, they're getting a lot of tickets. The weapons have been confiscated. So we're seeing that some of the suggestions we make, that the government is taking heed. I mean, we have to offer suggestions to the government team, whether it's opposition, whether it be civil society groups. We all have our part to play when it comes to crime fighting, and ICA will continue to do that. But we needed to highlight what is happening on the continent. But that is not going to happen just on its own. On the 24th of May, we put in the word out there. We might want to come on your program, Newsmaker Live, to promote it, Tim. I hope you give us the opportunity. We might want to come on NewsSpin to promote it. I hope you give us the opportunity, and I hope your listeners can also come out in good numbers to support the activity on May the 24th, Tim. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, but let me just ask you one thing. Do you feel indebted at all to the government of St. Lucia?
Not at all, Tim. Not at all. And we're not afraid to speak. I think, as I said earlier, we must give credit where credit is due. ICA is perhaps the only civil society group in St. Lucia that speaks out on different issues, where the others are just remaining silent. We believe that the silence of the voice of justice, that caused evil to prevail. So we're not going to be silent, Tim. And crime is a problem, and all of us have to play our role instead of blaming government. Yes, government have a role to play. Government have a responsibility to support groups and organizations who are assisting in the crime fight. They have that responsibility, and also to give the police the resources to do what they have to do. But at the end of the day, the police have to come up with the crime fighting strategy. The government could make suggestions, yes, but at the end of the day, the police must come up with the crime fighting strategies, because they have the job. They must rise up and do the work because they're getting paid to do the job. So we're supporting whatever initiatives the government is doing to fight crime. We don't care which government is there. Remember, Tim, back when Stephenson King was the Prime Minister on the United Workers' Party government, that was the first time in our history as a Rastafari community where our program has been funded by the government under Stephenson King. And your first caller who called, it was a lady, a sister who I know very well. She was our treasurer at the time, and she was very instrumental for ICA during that time frame, and the government, it was a United Workers' Party government who gave us financial support towards our programs. And I will never forget that, and I will always speak to the glory of Stephenson King when he was Prime Minister at the time, who gave us such support. And we're hoping that this government can do the same, because we have programs going into the school system, talking to our children and warning them against this black-on-black violence, and keeping their emotions in check, and to ensure that they treat each other with respect, and respect for life, and so on. And also, we have such programs like what is happening on May the 24th. We're hoping that the government will give us support for that activity as well, because these things cost money for us to put on these kind of activities. And I think you said that in your preamble as well, that ICA would have had to spend money to get this done. So we want the government to support us as well for May the 24th, and don't look at this as if, well, we're indebted to we're not beholden to any government team. We're going to speak on things as long as we find it's necessary to speak on it. We're going to speak on it. ICA will not be silent. We will not be muzzled. We don't care if it's UWP, we don't care if it's SLP, but if the government is doing something good, we're going to applaud them. If there are things that they're doing that we disagree with, we're going to speak about it likewise, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. You just heard there from the head of the Anola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari. Over to you, Amanda, and let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
A few comments from me, Tim. Someone says there, people, you all need to wake up. Aron did the right thing. Are you all kidding? We have to stand as one, or else there will be no one to stand for y'all when the time comes. We are all Africans first and anything afterwards. Don't fool yourselves. anything out there impacts our life, we are a tiny and dependent country. Another comment reads, humanity, let us never forget that. A NewsSpinner says, very well said, caller. We need an account of the monies for all the passports sold by Galaxy. The government must be held accountable. Another comment reads, caller, you may not be educated, but you are far from stupid. You are wise, which is more than I can say for some of those who are the most educated amongst us. Someone says, unless impacts is brought to a resolution in St. Lucia, crime will continue unabated, and that's a fact. A comment here reads, the chief of police has a point to prove. So what else is he to do? Not boast? Remember how he conveniently got a year extension? This PJP government is not stupid. I have said it before, it is up to us to understand what Prime Minister Pierre means by protect the victory. Another comment reads, I read that already. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. 452-2979. Let's take a call on the landline. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. So,
yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes, sir. So I really wish that Mr. Aron Alexander is still listening, because he appears to be conveying some kind of person that he is objective when it comes to politics. I know he and his men, they were on the Casaba beach declaring that they're protecting the patrimony of this country. I would like him to call back and say something on what is his view on the ports of St. Lucia that has been leased for, I think, about 40 years.
30 years in the first instance.
30 years in the first instance, to be extended by 10 years. I really wish him to come and speak on this vis-a-vis the position they had on Jack do not want me to be on my beach. Thank you very much. So I wish he would call back right away.
Thank you so much. If he cares to, I'm sure that he will call. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We are due for another break. The broadcast will continue with more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. Please stay with us.
On Saturday, June 14th, as the island ignites at Lumina, taking over Project Chocolat, Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja.
Lauren say it cold out in New York City. If you hear she ballin', I need a little rundown.
Alongside soca sensations Ezra and Slide. Backed up by the electrifying Impulse Band. Music by Hype Kid, A1 Jugglers, the Caldem DJ Sir Lancelot. Powered by Island Sounds. Hosted by MC Donoville. Tickets $130, no door sales. Get yours at the Cell, Island-wide, Mambo's Bar in Soufrière, or online at 4circlestickets.com. On Saturday, June 14th, Lumina. From 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Dress code Caribbean chic.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in Sans Souci and Vieux-Fort are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in Vieux-Fort is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. SurePay's online and walk-in service options, or participating financial institutions. Payments made via SurePay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the automated account inquiry service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
St. Lucia, are you ready for the ultimate all-inclusive?
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Eventbrite, Digicel Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp at 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State. Look something to talk about. Unlimited drinks, brunch buffet, top-class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heel pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. Call La Clinique du Corps right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
I've seen you here before, and I have something special just for you. What have we here? Happy housewarming to me? That's the MNC Home Depot Rewards Card. You'll earn points every time you shop, plus exclusive savings and promotions just for you. Just for me? Yes, just for you. Shop in store or online and enjoy a seamless experience. So I get to treat myself every time I shop? Exactly. It's time to reward yourself.
MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Rewards Card. Sign up and reward yourself today at www.mnchomedepot.com.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called NewsSpin. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, I would really like to suggest that Mr. Alexander stop categorizing crime and black-on-black violence. He should be speaking of zero tolerance to all forms of violence. It is this thinking that has us being backward. Am I to assume that crimes against whites are okay? We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you on the air?
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
How are you?
I'm okay. How about you?
Okay, all right. Amanda, how are you?
Good afternoon, caller. I'm fine, thank you.
I thought you'd remind Aaron about what's going on in Sudan.
Well, I don't... caller, I'm preoccupied and understand what's happening in Sudan, what is happening in Burkina Faso, etc. But I'm also more preoccupied with what's happening in St. Lucia. I live in St. Lucia. It can impact me directly, caller.
No, it will impact all of us. It's impacting all of us. But in what I called for, at the Commissioner's press conference last week, the Assistant Commissioner for Northern Division made a revelation that slipped me. But when you replayed it this afternoon, it caught my attention. The commissioner said that there was a homicide at Kappa State, one Sophia something.
I will have to listen to the recording again. I cannot recall
Yeah, what I'm asking, that's what I'm asking you to do, Tim, because I know there are only two females, Nala and Jolie, but I did hear you say about some Sophia something at Cap Estate.
No, you see, I'm just saying to you, caller, I cannot recall, so I cannot help you with
No,
this.
but
I'll have to listen. I'll have to listen to the recording again.
Yes, please. That's what I'm asking. Thanks. Okay. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much for calling. Let's see if we have some WhatsApp message or messages to go through. All right, we have a call. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air.
We have some WhatsApp message.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, team.
Yes, sir.
This will, here is something that could affect St. Lucians and people from back home, from people from St. Lucia. The White House just announced, there's a press conference going on right now, that all documented people in the United States, they're asking them to immediately self-deport. If they're also saying that no one can hide from ICE. Anyone who remains in the United States undocumented is going to be prosecuted and deported. They're asking them to get their orders together and to leave the United States immediately. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm just watching the press conference right now. It's a new something that it just announced there right now as we speak. They're asking all undocumented people in the United States to leave immediately, self-deport, get your orders together, and to leave the United States. If you remain in the United States, you will be prosecuted and deported. So they're basically saying that they're coming out there to just get everybody out. So it's going on right now. So just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Thank you so much, caller, for that contribution. I think it's been a while now, last maybe going on 2 months now, that the authorities in the United States have been asking undocumented workers to self-deport. In the chat room, Amanda, what is happening in the chat room?
Team, I must admit there are a few comments that I rather not read, but I will read a few. NewsSpinner says here, have you considered that your initiatives regarding the schools may not be working? I assume that comment relates to ICA's presentation. Another comment reads, when he is calling back, he also needs to explain the reason for his silence on the arbitrary abolition of our highest court of appeal, for no one which has been viewed as potentially being a weaker safeguard for our fundamental rights and freedoms. That's it for now, Tim.
Somebody says that, Tim, I loved the Welder's contribution. Blessing, my brother. Well articulated. Thank you, sir. We have a contribution coming from APA. APA simply says, ICA, sell out. And let's see if we have any more of your contributions to go through. Somebody says there, Tim, haven't you heard you congratulate the Prime Minister on the birth of his... Okay, I really don't want to go into this one at all. What's the difference with the previous administration? Okay, let's take a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Tim.
Yes, Rick. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Well, your program is elucidating. Did I hear somebody actually say we are first and foremost, well, Africans first?
I think that's what he hinted. That's what he indicated. Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what my good friend Aron Alexander said.
Aron.
Yes.
I think he said that. Well, how did we become that, Tim?
We should ask him that question, Rick.
No, you are the one.
Ask him the question.
Eh?
I mean, we are descendants of Africa. We came here. We are slaves. Our forefathers were slaves.
Tim, slaves, our forefathers were slaves. Does not immediately tie into being African.
And again, the Africans don't really see us as Africans, eh?
Tim, I'm not even going into that. I'm just saying to you that at best we are Caribbean people. The people of the Caribbean are a mixed race people. That's what we are. Is there an argument against that?
No, definitely not.
Some have more African than others. Some even look white. Some have Portuguese and French and European. We are the Caribbean people, and we should be very proud of being Caribbean people, and we should be proud of our achievements as a people, as a Caribbean people, literary, sports, all of that. We have a lot of things that if you could underscore and feel proud as a people without having to hang on to any other people and going to the extent of saying we are first and foremost Africans. We're not first and foremost Africans. At least not we. Maybe some are. But I should have started off by saying, the wonderful thing that we still have is a constitution. What we seem not to be prepared to do is stand up for our rights given us by the Constitution. We seem to be just satisfied with blah, blah, blahing, very often talking nonsense. And we relate that to Constitution when there's no... We don't have a Constitution unless we're prepared to stand up and fight for it and the rights it gives us. A lot of people died on the way for us getting a Constitution and everything else, the whole history. I don't have to go into the whole history book and that, But I would say, what would you say is the main cause going on there on the name of Ibrahim
Traore.
I can never pronounce the second
Traore.
name. But
Traore.
What would you say is the big cause going on there right now, Tim?
I think it's some exploitation of African resources, the resources of his country, and he fighting against it.
Good. I get that feeling that he wants a united Africa. That sounds familiar?
Yeah.
A united Africa. He makes the very valid point that Africa has everything. In fact, somebody made the statement that Africa has no real reason to import anything.
Mm-hmm.
That, in fact, Africans have been exploited by people they invited in, or people who came in by whatever means, or trade deals they did, etc. And Africa has been exploited a lot of the time with the cooperation of Africa. That is history, right?
That is beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Good. Okay. So I am saying, so here is this guy fighting for unity. If there is anything in terms of foreigners, I think it's more foreigners as opposed to race he's talking about. And that's what's going on there. The guy wants Africa for Africans first and foremost. Almost, I hate to mix the two, but almost the same propaganda of Trump. Eh?
Yes.
I hate to mix the two.
Putting America first.
He wants, it's the same line, Americans first.
Mm-hmm.
And what he means by that is another story. Just like we are Africans first, what is the real meaning behind that? I'm not sure. But I'll tell you what we have, Tim, in our little country, for 185,000 people, most of them without means, most of them without special talent, most of them on the world's beggars list. True?
It is.
And
yeah.
we have introduced in there, and as we spoke about in your show, Newsmaker Live, we didn't dwell on it because that was not the topic. We have allowed racism to not only show its eyebrows, it is now down to its knees in terms of, I am here, challenge me. Right or wrong?
You're correct, Rick.
Because the racism we're talking about here doesn't just apply in terms of island, we don't want a white man, get a black man, and you're bound to win the elections, bullshit. But the people who support Alan Chastney are treated by these racist kind fellow St. Lucians. They're treated, that is something that has not been touched on.
As house niggers, house slaves.
Well, that is the racism again, you see. People think it's just Alan is at the receiving end of the racist talk and the racist activity, not so subtle activity. But every supporter of Alan Chastney as political leader of the United Workers' Party is seen with racist eyes. And I'm glad that occurred to me, because they call them the house niggers and all that kind of stuff. They're licking the white man ass and all that kind of shit. Yeah. That is reserved for perceived followers of Alan Shastney. So all of you people out there who think it's just Alan Shastney, you in line too. You are seen as not worthy of being St. Lucian. You might well be asked yourself to sing the national anthem to prove your St. Lucianness one of these days, even though you're black to the point of being blue. I heard an African last night talking about certain Africans who were so black. He wasn't being negative, of course. He was just talking about it. He was on a positive note, but he was making the point of how black some Africans are, that they actually blue, and yet they will sell out Africa. You get the point?
Yeah.
Now, if one of us said that a guy was blue, they would think that's a racist thing. But an African leader was making the point that even the blackest of Africans have sold out Africa. So, and that is what this new guy, Abraham, is trying to somehow assuage and take over Africa. And he's doing some good work for the moment, but that's for another show. What we have to fight in this country, Tim, and take the order whatever you want. I think crime is number one, because the crime I'm talking about is violent crime where people are killed without resolution. That is the other point. We leave out those qualifying lines. The people who have been, and we keep on talking about the latest figures. The figures go back to years and years, Tim. The number of people who have been killed in this country like frogs with no resolution. The quick ones come to mind like Giselle Georges and so on, going back. And the mother, we've forgotten her, the mother who was shot down, I suspect, in the presence of her children. And I say I suspect just being advisedly. So crime, I would think, is the number one problem. And we are nowhere near close to being able to do anything about it, because we are all doing what everybody else has done. And Kenny Anthony said it, and he's correct. Absolutely correct. If you give 10 vehicles instead of 2, you're doing exactly what the guy did, because obviously you need a lot more vehicles. You need a lot of things to attack the crime, a lot of things that are not in place. Above all, you need a real functioning police force, well-paid, well-trained, well-protected. I've said that before. The first people who should be protected, the people we should regard as the first people to be what's the phrase? Putting people first. The first set of people we should be putting first in are the police, and that will. I don't hear the politicians talking about it. They're still talking about the same failed bullshit. The police need a lot more money. The police need a lot more protection. The family of the police don't have to sacrifice for the rest of St. Lucia. They should be protected in all kinds of ways. Their children should receive special privileges, because it's not an easy job being a policeman in the conditions especially that we have here. And telling people that we bought 10 cars is spitting in the people's eye and calling it rain. Okay? So I'm not buying that. But I think crime is perhaps number one on my list, a problem. The second one is racism, because, like I just said, some on one side look at everybody on the other side in one way or another as house niggers, field niggers, followers of Alan Shastney, like kissing white man butt. So the pretense is that it's aimed at Alan Shastney, but it's aimed also at every follower of the United Workers' Party leadership. And that is food for thought. Africa, I cannot remember anything. There's a saying, when America sneezes, we catch a cold. Remember that?
Yeah, that's well known.
Say that again?
I'm saying that's a well-known saying.
Well known. I have never heard anybody say, when Africa sneezes, we catch anything. That is not to say Africa doesn't matter. Africa will always matter for a lot of reasons. I don't choose to go into that. But the idea of making Africa so first that it would call demonstrations and so on, and talk only about fighting crime in terms of calling the crime prevention, it was a very interesting question that you kind of put to Aron. Because if he's going to ask the leader of the opposition to join in whatever group of protest or whatever they're doing, I think the only other person should be the Prime Minister.
Because, he kept saying, we have invited the leader of the opposition, we've invited this, and when we invited the leader of the opposition, he sent Cyril Prudent. I'm just saying, why not focus? Because to me, he was politicizing the whole issue. Why not focus on the individuals who are responsible? You have a Home Affairs Minister, you have a National Security Minister, a Crime Prevention Minister, no reference to those people?
Tim, it is hard not to politicize a thing when in fact the thing is political, so I don't make any pretense about that. If Alan Chasney is invited in an anti-crime march to which the Prime Minister is also invited and has accepted, I would be the first to tell you Alan is a problem. If Alan decided he was not going to join an anti-crime demonstration to which the Prime Minister was also invited, I would think him not worthy. That's how strongly I feel about it and the crime thing. It would also be an effort, something we talked about in your show, if only symbolically, to show people that if we don't come together as much as we can, because we don't have to marry each other and have sex with each other. When I say come together, we don't even have to unite on everything. We are human beings. We have our own minds. But there are some things that we have no choice but to see as a common cause. And a common cause now is save St. Lucia, because we're in trouble. St. Lucia's people are divided in horrific ways, on racial grounds, on money grounds, on status grounds, all kinds of stupid grounds we are divided on. And now we are killing one another with no resolution. The killing that goes on, and when the police come out and say 45% decline or whatever it is, I pay no attention to that. And I don't know why it is important to tell, unless that's a political thing. Why is it important for the police to be telling people 45? Make people feel safe, Tim. The police would have done their work if the majority of people feel safe in the country. Even if crime went down 30, 40, 50%, that still leaves a lot of people at risk, no?
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know why we pull the wool over people's eyes like that, and we only give half sentences, maybe because they don't want to talk too long like I do. Rick always talking long. The things I have to say cannot be said in 2 seconds, and the whole show doesn't do it either, as you found out. So, as much as I recognize Aron's freedom to pick the issues that he wants to make a deal of, I hope it's not government money going and taxpayers going into Aron's choices of the topics. If government is paying for it, meaning the taxpayers, I would hope there's some kind of consultation to find out the feeling or the pulse of the people. Which do they consider more important? A all-hands-on-deck demonstration against crime in St. Lucia, or a protest in favor of Ibrahim in Africa? We have to be very, very careful that we don't remain stuck in reverse. That was as bad as Black Lives Matter. St. Lucia is all black. We've been killing one another and raping one another without resolution, being horrid to each other in the prisons, beating one another, all black. And all of a sudden, because America, a group of crooked black people in America, as it turned out, started a group, Black Lives Matter. We had the soon-to-be Prime Minister taking a kneel with Hillary in the boulevard. This is mockery. This is Pappy showing people we are all black, and we shouldn't even be thinking of ourselves as black. We should be thinking of ourselves as Caribbean people, as St. Lucians, and unite at everything we can in the interest of the country. God Almighty. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Rick. What's the question of the day? The NewsSpin question of the day reads, didn't the RSLPF just report a drop in crime for the first quarter of 2025? The NewsSpin question of the day. Didn't the RSLPF just report a drop in crime for the first quarter of 2025? And we have the NewsSpin news of the day. The NewsSpin news of the day reads, global press freedom at an all-time low in 2025. That's according to Reporters Without Borders. Global press freedom at an all-time low in 2025, according to Reporters Without Borders. And just to end on a light note, this is Leonard Spider Motut during that United Workers' Party political activity on Sunday, making light of a particular moment.
I just found out that there are some labor rights around. Feel free next time to come forward. Don't stay in the back like you're some spy. Colleagues, I'm talking to you. I just found out that there are some labor rights around. Feel free next time to come forward. Don't stay in the back like you're some spy. Colleagues, I'm talking to you.
That's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin. Have yourself a great weekend and join us on Monday afternoon, same time at 12:30. Goodbye.